Welcome back to Soul Reaver 2. Raziel is still in this unpleasant era 100 years into the future, 100 years after Blood Omen. And now we know that we have encountered the Elder God, that he is actually thriving, and that he is a lot bigger now than he was, and it seems like he's the one who's actually collapsing the pillars with his tentacles. By now we probably have enough information to understand that he's not exactly the benevolent force that we thought he was in the original Soul Reaver. What's going on here is Raziel continuing his backtrack, and until we hit the swamp there isn't much of anything of interest there, except for maybe one annoying mechanic, and you might as well skip. Yes, once again, these fights are taking me a lot longer than they should have, and honestly I should have just run past them. At this point I don't know why do I why do I stop to actually fight these demons when half of them can be run away from. Now this part, if you remember, in the 100 years ago, 130 years ago, this area was entirely flooded. Not anymore. Some of it is now no longer flooded, and this is going to require the Dark Reaver. And it is absolutely imperative that I get the Dark Reaver here, because otherwise you will not be able to raise a shadow bridge using the Reaver, and you're gonna have to backtrack all the way over here again. Don't do that. I learned that the hard way. It takes like another 3 minutes, which doesn't sound like much, but it is in reality a lot. This place, when it's not entirely flooded with water, actually gets even more confusing than it was when it was flooded. Because when it's flooded, you can just go up, go to the only direction available. But now that you are on the bottom of it and that it's not flooded, you cannot swim. You have to traverse this terrain, and it's even harder to understand where you have to go. And so, we are finally at the swamp. And welcome to the new enemy. These are the mutants. They are an annoyance, but a mild annoyance, kinda like the vampire hunters were in the first act of the game.
this edifice lay my sole hope of escaping this demon-infested wasteland. The time-streaming device contained therein offered my only prospect of journeying back into Nosgoth's early history. Unless I discovered some means of breaking the seal, I was condemned to be stranded here eternally.
Wait a second, I thought that Raziel could not operate these time-streaming devices, or at least cannot set them to, or cannot know where will the device send him, to which era. So, speaking of the mutants, they used to be something humanoid. Apparently they have these 4 legs, 2 of which are huge and 2 of which are tiny. They seem to have eyes, although it's not possible to see them in dynamic. You have to look at screenshots to do that. And they are very reminiscent of the Dark Eden creatures, because those were essentially also mutants created by Anarkroth. However, in reality, we do not really have any background information on these creatures. We don't actually know whether these mutants are somehow spawned by the corruption a la Dark Eden. We don't know if it's just the corruption of Nosgoth that is resulting from Kain's refusal to sacrifice himself. We don't know if it's something else, maybe it's the demons, who the hell knows. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, my lack of knowledge about this is caused by me reading The Lost Worlds, and the information there, it's dated 2012, 2013 at latest. And that is the BC era. BC standing for before Kabuko. I mean, before his website where he started answering the questions about the background of development of the Legacy of Kain games where he took part in. Well, basically the 2 Soul Reavers and Defiance. So maybe there's something there, I don't know. Because I never really looked through the entire forums.
The passage of time had indeed cleared my way forward, enabling me to explore the northern mountains of Nosgoth. I was anxious to discover if some evidence of Janos Audrun's existence might still remain.
And the place that is coming is, in fact, familiar to us, or at least to those of us who know Blood Omen. This is also the point in the game where it becomes even more difficult, as now you will often be forced to fight both demon hunters and demons at the same time. And as I have said previously, as I've said earlier, when Raziel is in the vicinity, when Raziel can trigger the demon hunters and the demons, they will all converge on him. They will stop fighting each other. There will be some ways to abuse the AI here, and I'm pretty sure that there aren't any possibilities for that in this video. There will be some in the next part. But all in all, the game becomes harder simply because there is a lot more. There are a lot more things to handle at once for Raziel, which is what makes the combat here so frustrating at times. And once again, as I have stated before, the Reaver is your enemy, because the Reaver, while powerful, actually limits Raziel's mobility. This just goes to show how inferior the Wraith Blade is compared to the Claws, simply because it takes so much longer to actually connect the hit.
Here I discovered the quaint hamlet of Ustenheim, now long abandoned and collapsing into ruin. Legend claimed that Janos Ordren terrorized its villagers until the Sarafan hunters ferreted him out and destroyed him. If there was any truth to the old tales, the lair of the infamous vampire would not be far away.
In Blood Omen, Janos Ordren was just a part of the background mythos of the world of Nosgoth. Here, it all becomes irrelevant. But hey, that's what Soul Reaver 2 does. Soul Reaver 2 basically integrates everything into a single tapestry. Funny thing is that in this little chamber where this checkpoint is located, none of the enemies are ever going to come here. So, although there is no real way to abuse it because the passage is the entrance is very narrow, still a funny thing because the AI just can't handle this. And it's not the checkpoint; it's something else. Because normally, and even in the swamp, you could see a mutant coming after Raziel to the checkpoint. That was a mistake. I'm leaving this in. I'm leaving all of it in. Now this is the part where I am screwed. Yes, this is the point where you're screwed because there's so much stuff around Raziel. There is actually a way to abuse this part to survive it safely without having to run around hoping to hit something with the Reaver. And the key is you jump down here, you trigger the demon spawning, and then you immediately jump back up and run back a bit. Because now the demon hunters and the demons are in the vicinity of each other and they will start killing themselves. and then you just come back over there, do not jump back, and just enjoy the show, wait while one of the sides wins. These situations, they will happen again later, and I'm pretty certain that I will show it off in a later video, a similar situation. Unless I'm mistaken, which I might be. In which case, I will just make a separate video and show off how it's done. It looks really stupid. It's the kind of gameplay that you make into a video and put yakety sax for background music. These sequences are what makes the backtracking in Soul Reaver 2 such an ordeal.
This edifice was clearly not crafted by human architects. As the figure beneath the balcony silently attested, these were the Ares of winged beings. Undoubtedly, I stood before the mountain refuge of the legendary Janos Ordren, but the entire sanctuary lay in ruin, collapsed under the force of some ancient cataclysm. As I suspected, the time streamer's deception ensured that I was centuries too late to unearth anything of consequence here. With nothing behind me but the wasteland I had traversed, I resolved to press on and explore these canyons further. Oh no. Every time you turn up, something monumental and terrible happens. I don't think I have the stomach for it.
No drama this time, Razia.
You are persistent, crossing time like this to follow me. Still waiting for that coin of yours to land on its edge.
I'm biding my time. I see that Mobius has played a little trick on you.
Yes. He clearly doesn't want me to meet this Janos Ordren.
Perhaps. Or maybe he merely hoped that it would harden your heart against me, to see this wasteland which I single-handedly authored.
My heart doesn't need hardening, Kain. If I even suspected that destroying you would make any difference, I would do it this instant.
I knew you'd see through them, Raziel. Janos is indeed the key to your destiny, but you'll need to find your own way back into Nosgoth's path. Make no mistake, though, Raziel. You and I are now in great danger. We are irritants here. Malevolent forces are being marshaled to eliminate us.
You talk as though we're allies.
Regardless of your sentiments, Raziel, in their eyes, we are.
Well, they're certainly trying to eliminate you, Kain. There can be no doubt of that. I am assaulted relentlessly with demands for your demise. Whatever it is that you're plotting, they're scared to death. As for me, I suspect they made a grave error when they allowed my unique resurrection. I don't think they know how to destroy me.
You mustn't underestimate them, Raziel.
And who exactly is this diabolical they to which we keep referring? If there's some grand conspiracy going on, the right hand doesn't appear to know what the left is doing. Even Mobius seems to be caught out at every turn.
Mobius is a puppet, Raziel. Haven't you realized that yet? That's the sweetest irony in all of this. Nosgoth's great manipulator is their plaything. But the ones pulling the strings haven't shown their faces yet.
They don't like us unwriting their carefully choreographed history, though, do they?
You must understand, Raziel, we haven't unwritten history, we've merely rewritten. The future flows around our petty actions, finding the path of least resistance, while admitting only the slightest alterations. This is the reshuffling you felt when you refused to kill me. And remember, Raziel, we are irritants in this regard as well. History will not allow the introduction of a paradox.
And if events cannot be reshuffled to accommodate the change?
It is the irritant who's expelled. Bear in mind that this may be exactly the outcome our enemies are trying to provoke. We must tread very carefully.
And with this short lesson from Kain, I will cut it off. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.